Gentlemen, modern society screams that women want equality, but their behavior often whispers a different truth. Ask any man who has dated in the last 10 years. The same women who say that they want egalitarian partners, they still gravitate towards dominance, to leadership, to masculine decisiveness, while rejecting men who treat them as perfectly equal. So the question isn't, is it chauvinistic? The real question is, do women secretly want it? Mario Puzo hinted at a deeper social intuition when he wrote Don Corleone's famous line in The Godfather. And that line was, women and children can be careless, but not men. While if you put this phrase in ChatGPT and ask it what it means, ChatGPT is going to paraphrase this as reflective of mid-20th century gender norms. And the anthropology behind it is older than civilization. In Evolution of Desire, David Bass says that male responsibility and female selectivity are ancient survival strategies, not outdated stereotypes, as ChatGPT will want us to believe. The traditional Kikuyu elders said the same thing in their own way. And they say that do not give a child or a woman what requires a man. Okay? It's almost like saying don't give a man's task to a child or a woman. So it was not an insult when these Kikuyu elders were saying this, but it was a recognition of how responsibilities historically aligned with psychological wiring. Gentlemen, if you're enjoying this video, take a quick moment to like, subscribe, and share. When you subscribe, you'll always get notified when I drop new content. And when you like and share, you help this channel to grow, and more importantly, you help other men to discover the tools that they need to level up. Remember, when one man rises, we all rise. Now let's get back to the video. So that's very important to note, gentlemen. So today, empowerment narratives insist that women have outgrown these patterns, but their behavior reveals otherwise. Below, we're going to look at 4 masculine realities that modern men must understand. We're going to look at 4 masculine realities that modern men must understand when interacting with women. So, and we're going to look at them in light of this claim that women want equal partners. The first claim is that women expect you to read their emotions, not their words. So, a man generally thinks in lines. When a man goes to the supermarket, he knows what he's going to get. He goes straight to the shelf, to the aisle, to that point that holds the item he's gone for. When a woman goes to the supermarket, she wants to do window shopping. Okay, she's going to look at many other things, even the things she didn't go for. So we say that men think in lines, but women think in loops. And so when a woman tells you, for example, that I'm fine, she often means prove that you care enough to dig deeper. Because many times when they say they are fine, you can see that they are not fine. In the female brain, there's a psychologist called Luan Bresidin who say that women process emotion through more neural pathways than men, making them more expressive but also more indirect. Okay? And this is why the silent treatment feels like emotional static for men. This is why men feel they need to decode, deduce, and soothe women. And this is why so many men feel that they are parenting a partner instead of engaging a peer. Men don't tell you that I'm fine when you can see that they are not fine. Okay? So this shows you that women want emotional leadership. Not because they're inferior, but because masculine steadiness regulates feminine chaos. So that's the first aspect that we are going to look at, because it shows us that Pandora wasn't incidental. Remember, Pandora was a goddess of chaos in the Greek mythology. So chaos has always been symbolized as the feminine. And yet, you either accept this truth or you suffer it in denial. I'd like to know what feminists have to say about this. The second aspect we look at is that women struggle with emotional self-regulation, and oftentimes they outsource it to men. This is not an attack. This is just biology. The word hysteria literally comes from the Greek word hystera, from the Greek word of uterus. That's the uterus is called hystera in Greek. Okay? In the Kahun papyrus, which is dated to around 1900 BCE, it documents the early attempts to explain women's or female emotional volatility. We know better today. Hormonal cycles, estrogen swings, and the amygdala's heightened sensitivity all play a role. We even have what we call the premenstrual syndrome. So the behavioral pattern remains. A child throws a tantrum, a woman snaps at her partner. In both cases, the emotional storm is calmed externally. And this is why men intuitively let things go. The way a parent overlooks a child's outburst. In Kenya, we normally say, you find guys saying, wanawake wako hivo. That is how women are. You accept when you're insulted or disrespected, or when she behaves in a very unpredictable or outrageous manner. Okay? So men tolerate it. So this is why stoic strength is still sexually attractive. And in the 12 Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson tells us that female attraction is strongly correlated with a man's ability to shoulder chaos and not collapse under it. Women call it spoil me. Men call it emotional management. Nature calls it polarity. Especially if you get from Esther Perel's book, Mating in Captivity. Polarity is a very integral aspect of attraction and desire between the two genders. So the third thing that we are going to look at when you are looking at the question of whether women truly want equal partners is the question of the way women disclaim their agency and men pay the price. So in evolutionary terms, responsibility is costly. So the female tendency to offload this responsibility has deep roots. Briffel's law captures it very bluntly, and he says that the female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family. Briffle spelled this in a book called The Mothers, which is actually dated 1927. So women decide what counts as commitment. Women decide when sex happens. Women decide when divorce happens. And women decide when I'm unhappy and the man pays. And because men want access to intimacy, many enable this dynamic. This pattern shows up everywhere. In relationships, where they say his money is our money and my money is my money. Many women say that, and many men tolerate that. Many men even think it's acceptable. Another aspect is when women say he should provide even though I work. So many men slave away for their women. They spend their money frivolously, going for trips in Dubai, buying expensive fake hair, fake nails, fake eyelashes, and so on. And also, if he fails financially, I'm leaving. This is hypergamy, where many women leave their marriages when their husbands run into financial trouble. We saw this during the pandemic. It happened, a lot of marriages came to an end. So when a woman loses a job, she becomes a housewife. When a man loses a job, he becomes a liability. The other thing women do when in an illustration how they give up their agency is they blame patriarchy. And what's the irony? That even women who have been raised by poor, uninvolved, powerless men. You have a father who was broke and powerless. These women still blame the patriarchy for their choices. That is very ironic. You grew up in a poor family and your father could not invoke patriarchy to help you, and yet you believe patriarchy exists and it favors men. The third thing that shows women don't want to claim their agency is by blaming astrology. For example, a woman can say, I yelled because I'm a Pisces. Okay? Or I love too much because I'm a Cancer. Okay? Women say such things, but men don't have such luxury. Men are accountable or they die. The other thing that women like doing to refuse to take agency or claim agency is blaming mental health. So even when women commit horrifying acts like violence against their partners or their children, mainstream commentary often soften the verdict. They say that you don't know what she went through, or they'll tell you that she must have been overwhelmed. Or if she cheats, like the case of Jada Pinkett, many women say Will Smith must have cheated on her also. So men don't get that grace. So agency is masculine. Externalization is feminine. Know the game. The fourth thing that shows that women don't want equal partnerships, and maybe they prefer chauvinism, is that women struggle with the reality because society enables their delusions. So children believe they can be anything. When you are young, you ask, John, what do you want to do when you grow up? You say, I want to be a doctor. I'm going to be a pilot. I'm going to be the president. Women today are told the same thing, that they can be anything. Okay? For example, very common phrase, what a man can do, a woman can do. And that is not true. The silly things that we do in the society. Okay? Look at athletics. Look at chess. What a man can do, a woman cannot do. Okay? Biology disagrees. Men are stronger, men are faster, men are better at so many things. And it's because of this recognition that men are better. That's why we have separate divisions, okay, in athletics. In sports, we don't have male boxing and we don't have boxing that is not gendered. There is male boxing and female boxing. Because if you put a man with a woman in a boxing ring, the man has better odds of winning. Look at chess. Even chess, if you look at the world rankings, the first female is more than number 70, down, 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 down. And this is a woman who started playing chess when they were a child. Actually, they were chess prodigy. Military recruitment, they have different standards for men and women in terms of height, even in terms of the exercises. Police fitness exams, we don't have the same criteria for men and women. We don't have the same tests. Even firefighting standards, we don't have the same standards. In fact, it's just this year that the US is thinking of having same standards for everyone. Why? It is because male and female physical and cognitive distributions, they differ consistently and predictably. So women can declare themselves equal. But when the war breaks out, it is men who must fight. When danger arises, men must respond. And when a family collapses, men must hold the line. And this is why Mario Puzo's quote still resonates, that men cannot afford to be careless. Women can and do because men shield them from consequences until they don't. So the real question is, are men being chauvinistic when they take over leadership? Or is it just true that they are better leaders and women actually want them to be in positions of leadership? So here is the red pill. Most women do not want equality in practice. They want comfort, leadership, protection, and masculine responsibility without admitting it openly. So the same women who call masculine structure chauvinistic, they will respond sexually and emotionally to men who embody it. Not abusers, leaders. Alexander Royce writes in The Masculine Advantage that women consistently select for competence, direction, and emotional containment, even when they verbally reject traditional roles. Women want to feel safe. Women want to feel led. Women want to lean into their femininity, but they don't want to say it aloud. So men must learn the truth privately and act accordingly. So here is my challenge to gentlemen. Stop debating female nature. Start mastering yours. A man who understands polarity, agency, responsibility, and emotional leadership automatically moves differently. He attracts differently, he commands differently, and he loses less, fears less, and compromises less. So in the comment section below, you guys can tell me, do you think modern society actually wants men to lead, or it just wants men to stop complaining while they do so? I want to hear your thoughts. So get unplugged, and I'll see you in the next one.